All right. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you all for joining us for today's A Month of Service presentation of benefits for veterans. My name is Nia Murray, and I am Programs Coordinator with Neighborhood Recovery Community Development Corporation, and we are one of the partners in the A Month of Service collaboration. Included in that partnership is joining us today, the City of Houston's Department of Neighborhoods, Ms. Myra Hippolyte, Harris County Appraisal District, Harris County Tax Assessor Collector's Office, Lone Star Legal Aid, Houston Volunteer Lawyers, the Earl Carl Institute, and the Houston Bar Association. And collectively, we make up the A Month of Service program, but on a monthly basis, we get together and provide a month-long set of workshops relative to asset building, asset protection, and maintaining of generational wealth. Periodically, we have a variety of different workshops on specialty topics, especially with it being Veterans Month. We are providing you guys with information about veterans, our benefits for veterans. And we know that quite a few people have difficulty sometimes maneuvering through the benefit process and applying for benefits and getting denials and being discharged from the military and not having, honorable discharges, other than honorable discharges, dishonorable discharges, and they really can't quite maneuver through the process, doesn't know where to go for help. So we wanted to make sure that we provided that information for folks so that they'll know that there is assistance out there, there are resources available, that there are benefits that veterans and their families can take advantage of. So we're here to provide you guys with access to those resources, firsthand professionals that can assist you guys with that process, with knowing where to go and who to talk to and who to ask. So with that being said, I'll go into a little bit more detail about other upcoming workshops that we've got planned late for the remainder of the year. In addition to that, we encourage you guys to ask any questions that you may have. However, the information that is being provided here by the legal service organizations is not legal advice. It is for educational purposes only. However, we do encourage you guys to definitely reach out to apply for services from any of these organizations that you feel that may be able to assist or refer your family or friends or coworkers or whomever that can find this information to be beneficial. In addition to that, we are streaming live on our social media platform at Amos Houston TX, and the session is being recorded as well. So we ask that you try to keep your questions to be as general as you possibly can and not get any personal detail information out there for everybody to actually hear or get access to. So with that being said, we are going to have a panel of, again, professional legal experts that are going to be joining us today. We have Mr. Randy Clark with the Houston Volunteer Lawyers. We have Mr. Justin Thompson with Lone Star Legal Aid, Ms. Diana Carlson with South Texas College of Law, Stephanie Duong with, I'm sorry, I got you guys' name mixed up, Jamie. Stephanie Truong, okay, with Beacon Law, and Jamie Duong with Harris County Tax Collector's Office. So with that being said, Ms. Myra, would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself, and then we'll move right on into our panel.
Thanks, Ms. Nia. Good afternoon. My name is Myra Hippolyte, and I work with the City of Houston Department of Neighborhoods under the direction of Director Takasha Francis and Assistant Director Landon Taylor. On behalf of Mayor Sylvester Turner, we want to welcome you to the Month of Service program. The Month of Service program is all about giving back free information to the Houston, Harris County, actually even to the state of Texas community. We want to make sure that we are able to give you as much free information that when you go through whatever stressor you're going through in your life, you can make the proper decisions at that time. At the same time, we want to let you know that, guys, you're not alone. We're here right by your side. We're walking right next to you. And of course, we can't hold your hand, because by holding your hand, we will be doing everything for you. But by walking by your side is by giving you this free virtual workshops and just giving you as much information as we can. Thanks, guys. Have a great day and stay safe.
All right. So would you guys like to introduce yourself in advance, or would you like to go ahead and just go into your presentation and then introduce yourself as you start?
Why don't we go ahead and do the latter? And
Okay,
if you'd like, I can go ahead and start this out.
you can go right ahead.
Thanks for everybody being here today. My name is Randy Clark, and I'm currently the supervising attorney for the Veterans Legal Initiative at the Houston Volunteer Lawyers. On the panel today, with some notable exceptions, are essentially a number of lawyers who, together with myself, provide legal services to a very specific community. And so I'd like to start out by saying we don't provide our legal services to everyone who happens to be a veteran. For the most part, we're nonprofits, and we work with grants. In my case, we have 2 veterans grants that we work specifically with, and our services are limited in a couple of regards. Number one, there are certain financial guidelines that we have to work with. And then second, there's the demographics, the location in which you happen to live or reside. The first one, and by the way, we can help veterans and others as well. We have other attorneys who practice in areas of civil law that for people who are not veterans. So I don't want to limit the services that Houston Volunteer Lawyers provides just to that. But for veterans anyway, if you earn up to 300% of the federal poverty guidelines, and I'm going to give you an idea of what that is here in just a second, then we can provide basic civil legal services. And to give you an example, these poverty guidelines change every year, but for 2021, for one person, the federal poverty guidelines are $12,800. So if we're talking to a family of 4 or a veteran who has a family of 4, we're talking about almost $80,000 income. So anything above $80,000 is pretty much going to exclude the individual. So the people that we serve are people that need legal services, but really can't provide legal services that the private practitioners would normally charge a rate for. And secondly, our grants also require that folks that we serve anyway. I know that Lone Star is a little bit different. They're going to talk about their demographics here in a minute, but we're limited to 18 counties, which is a fairly large area. 18 contiguous counties around Harris County. So there are a large number of counties that we do serve, and primarily before COVID-19. And COVID-19 kind of changed the landscape for everybody. But for our particular organization, we primarily came in contact with veterans out at the DeBakey Regional Medical Center, the VA Regional Medical Center, which is probably one of the largest, best facilities in the country. It's here in Houston, and it's actually a huge campus with a huge hospital, and it serves a very large number of veterans. And we used to go down there every Friday afternoon, and we had a facility in which we would set up, and volunteer attorneys and staff attorneys from Houston Volunteer Lawyers would go down there from 1 till 4, and we would take walk-in clients. And we saw an average of about 120 veterans every week. And COVID came about, the VA shut down, and we were left without a venue to talk to veterans. So one of the lemonade that came out of COVID, if there is such a thing, was that we had to rethink the way we did things. And so at the end of this, I think we're going to be putting a chat up, but I think most of the organizations here today, what they did is they moved online to online applications. And because that was really kind of what we were limited to be able to do. And so now if you have access to the web, and this is another area that we have problems with, is that the particular demographic that we serve, there are a lot of folks that don't have access to technology and internet. And so having all of these wonderful web-based tools and online applications and that sort of thing, it doesn't mean a thing because they don't have access to that. So we had to rethink the way we did things. It's not just something that you do online, you do on a web page, or you do on a phone app. But that's one application that we do have now. So if you are able to access the internet and you have a computer and you can access the World Wide Web, we have a web page with an application blank that you can complete in a matter of a couple of minutes. And then simply because we can't meet with you in person doesn't mean that we're not going to be taking phone calls and talking with you. As a matter of fact, this afternoon when I leave this presentation, I have 2 veterans that are scheduled for phone appointments with me from 3 until 5. And so I'll be talking with veterans this afternoon about their legal problems. Now, I know today's topic was generally veterans benefits. And we are lawyers. And so it's important to understand that as lawyers, we don't administer benefits for the Veterans Administration or for the state of Texas. What we do as lawyers in this area of practice is we connect veterans who are having problems getting those benefits. And I'd like to just start out by saying many of the veterans benefits that veterans have an entitlement to, that entitlement flows directly from the characterization of the discharge that they got from the military service. Generally speaking, there are 3 kinds of administrative discharges. The best and the highest is honorable. The next is a general discharge. And the lowest of the 3 types of administrative discharges is an under other than honorable conditions discharge. And depending on the characterization of your service, whether it was for 4 years or for 30, the benefits that you're going to be able to get are going to be tied directly to the type of discharge that you had. One of the benefits that I think most people are aware of, and you see these advertised all the time, is a benefit that I think is used by a lot of veterans, and that's your veterans loan, your GI Bill loan. And this veterans loan allows people who are veterans to actually get into a house with no money down. It's a no down payment option for you to get in. And it allows a lot of veterans who otherwise wouldn't have the 10 or 20% of the money for a down payment to move right into a house if they qualify otherwise financially. That's tied directly to an honorable discharge. So anybody who has less than an honorable discharge is automatically excluded from that benefit. The thing that the lawyers on this panel can help you with, and this is a large part of our veterans business, is something called a military discharge upgrade. And that's a process that we use to ask the different services to change the characterization of your service for whatever legal reason we happen to have, or the facts that are developed, into a higher discharge. And so that's one area in which the legal people can provide veterans with access to the veterans benefits that they might otherwise be entitled. I know we're going to talk about a lot of other veterans benefits in more detail, but I just wanted to give you that one example. Houston Volunteer Lawyers provides a lot of the same services that the other panelists organizations do. We differ in some respects, but we overlap in a number of respects. So it's not uncommon for Diana from South Texas College of Law, or for Justin or someone from his office, to actually go down to the VA and actually talk to veterans at our clinic, and vice versa. So we all cooperate and we collaborate. But the big difference between Houston Volunteer Lawyers and the other organizations is that even though I was practicing law for 40 years in the private sector before I came to work here, and I represented clients in legal matters directly, I don't do that anymore. At Houston Volunteer Lawyers, we work with pro bono volunteers. So we've got about a population of 15,000 or more Houston lawyers who are in private practice, who give back to their community every year. And they give back literally thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of their legal time to represent people that are in need. And it's my job to take a veteran who has a legal problem, who fits within our demographic, and match them with a private attorney, to allow that private attorney to represent them free of charge. There are other organizations that actually do direct representation, and that means that the lawyers on their staffs actually do take cases. Now, in the amount of time that I've gotten, I'm going to give back some of my time because I know there's always questions, but I would like to mention that in addition to federal VA benefits, and there are a number of them, I talked a little bit about your loan, your home loan. There's also veterans education benefits, and there are disability benefits, and there's pensions, and there's retraining programs. Another good example is when you come off active duty as a veteran, you're entitled to education. Well, there's some veterans that we see who are disabled to the point where they can't get right back into the workforce. And so for those veterans in that situation, the VA actually provides something in the way of vocational rehabilitation. It's not uncommon for a veteran who can't do something that they used to do to be able to be retrained in another area that they can, given their new abilities. So this vocational rehabilitation is actually tied to, again, it's actually tied to a degree of disability, which leads me to the second thing that we do for veterans as lawyers, and that is the VA is a huge, huge bureaucracy. And it's very, very hard to navigate that bureaucracy if you don't know what you're doing. And it's actually daunting in terms of actually getting started. Well, at my organization and at Diana's, and I know at Justin's, what we do is we can help you with processing those disability claims. As a matter of fact, most of our panel was on a continuing legal education program last week for the lawyers here in Houston to train them on how to navigate the disability system at the VA. So if you have a disability and you are entitled to compensation as well as medical care, which is specific to the level of disability that you have, you may not even be in the system and know how to do it. But Houston Volunteer Lawyers, you file an application, whether it's on paper, whether it's on the phone, whether it's online, and we can get that process started. In addition to federal benefits, and this is really important because the state of Texas is very, very generous in terms of the way it treats veterans. There are a huge number of state veterans legal benefits that are available. And as a supplement to the GI Bill, which is what a lot of GIs use to go to college when they get out. There are a lot of soldiers and a lot of airmen, a lot of guardians that get out of the service and they want to go to college. And the GI Bill allows them to get pretty much their degree. In addition to that, there's a supplemental state program called the Hazelwood Act, which allows free education for veterans and families, depending on whether they're survivors or not, and to a state school. So literally you can go to a state-supported college and get your college degree. And so that's also a state benefit in addition to the federal benefit. There are a various number of other ones that we'll probably get into, and maybe not, but I wanted to talk about the Hazelwood Act. I wanted to talk about the education benefits, and I wanted to talk a little bit about, there are some things that are not so major, but they're not, nonetheless, they're nice, and that is, and I think we'll probably be talking about taxes. Again, property taxes are based upon degree of disability. So it gets back to getting into the system in order to qualify. But, the veterans get veterans preferences. They get credit towards state retirement if they decide to go into state employment. There are recreation benefits. For disabled veterans, they can get hunting and fishing licenses. And there are disabled veterans state parking fees, and license plates, and a myriad of others that we'll be able to talk about, or that can be talked about, in addition to burial benefits, which is a very, very important thing. Not only are there national benefits for cemeteries, but there are also state cemeteries for veterans. And again, there are different benefits that provide for burial and ceremonies and that sort of thing as appropriate. The VA has a web page. Again, I hate to keep saying this, but the lawyers kind of cross the roads with the VA in a little bit different way, and we're not really VA benefits counselors so much as we have our own personal level of knowledge. But they go into great detail in terms of education, careers, healthcare, disability, housing assistance, burials, family members, life insurance, and pensions, all of which are benefits that are available to veterans. So with that, I'm going to turn back the remainder of whatever time I have and reserve the bulk of that time for any questions you might have at the tail end of this. But I understand that we're being asked, if you have a question and you might not remember it at the end of this, go ahead and put it in chat. I think they're going to save it until the end to get back to you. So with that being said, Justin, are you next?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thanks, Randy. Just wanted to thank everybody for being here today. My name is Justin Thompson. I'm the managing attorney for Lone Star Legal Aid's Military and Veterans Unit. And like Randy said, I, along with him and Diana and some of the other folks here today, are very proud to serve our veteran community as well as their families in the Houston and surrounding areas. I want to share a little bit about Lone Star Legal Aid and how you can get a hold of us, but also what kind of areas we provide assistance in. So Lone Star Legal Aid is a civil legal aid provider, very similar to Randy and Diana's organization and Stephanie's. We provide civil legal services across 72 counties in Southeast Texas. So we are a little bit bigger in terms of scope of who we're serving, but definitely Houston is in that area. We have our staff work out of the Houston office. We have staff up in the Killeen area to work with active duty soldiers in Fort Hood. And then we have staff up in Tyler to handle issues up in the northeastern counties of Texas. And we're really here to provide services to ensure that we're protecting families and protecting homes and establishing economic security. And we do that by serving the veteran community, active duty soldiers, veterans, their spouses and dependents, and then even surviving spouses. We do that through a variety of mechanisms. We're providing advocacy, legal advice and counsel, as well as representing clients in court and before administrative agencies. We also provide community education like this, and then we refer to partner organizations, sometimes like Randy or Diana's organizations and others. We do have some financial eligibility requirements, just like kind of Randy talked about. It's based on the number of folks in the household and those federal poverty guidelines. And when we would like to get veteran documentation as well, but we don't really have any discharge limitations. The areas that we are able to help folks are, of course, all those that Randy talked about, the veterans benefits, the various service-connected, non-service-connected areas, dependents and indemnity compensation, education benefits. But then also we help veterans and their families with non-veteran benefit cases, family law issues and employment law and housing and evictions and foreclosures. If you've watched the news recently, the eviction and foreclosure crisis is huge. We also help with consumer protection and bankruptcy, estate planning and probate issues, help with education if folks are having problems with maybe a school district and the education of their children. And then we also help with public benefits like unemployment and Social Security and food stamps, Medicare and Medicaid. And then we also help with expunctions and non-disclosures. So of course, we're helping with those vet benefits that Randy talked about, but we're also here to provide assistance beyond that. And we try to provide what I'd like to say is a holistic kind of approach. And I just had some kind of scenarios that I'd like to throw out there just to kind of give the viewers here an understanding of what might be presented to us and kind of how we might approach helping to resolve it. So we have, maybe we've got Frank, who's a 70 some odd year old honorably discharged Marine. His lease doesn't maybe end until the middle of March of next year, but his landlord's coming at him, asking him for an additional $50 a month for his pet cat. And he just doesn't have the funds to pay that, and he doesn't know where that's going to come from. His sole income is, $900 a month in Social Security, but it's actually less because the Attorney General's office is withholding because of some, arrearages. So if he came to that for us, we would start talking to him about advocating on his behalf with the landlord, maybe with a demand letter. Then we'd also talk to him about some of his veterans benefits, like those non-service connected disability, trying to help him get some more money in his pocket to be able to have the resources he needs to take care of his day-to-day expenses. And then we also might talk about going to request an administrative review before the Attorney General's office about, maybe decreasing the withholding. And then we'd also talk to him about referring him to one of our partner agencies like Combined Arms to maybe help with some additional assistance to help with utilities or, counseling or something along those lines. So that's kind of a scenario that we might have come through the door that might match up or be similar to some of the folks who are watching today. We also have in a situation where maybe we have a spouse who's in an abusive relationship and she needs to, Mary needs to get out of the abusive home and get her children out. And she may receive some disability from her time in the Air Force, but she's having a hard time getting a better job because of an old criminal charge that was dismissed, but people keep finding it, and she just has a hard time finding a job. And she, at the same time, the kids aren't getting what they need at school. So, we would look at pursuing a protective order for her and a divorce, maybe seeing if that service-connected disability needs to be increased because of a change in her circumstances, maybe vocational rehab, like what Randy was talking earlier about, to help her get some more training to maybe pursue better employment. And then also an expunction or non-disclosure to get that criminal charge removed so that she has a better clean slate to look at for folks who are looking for employment. And then we can also help with maybe advocacy before the school officials with some kind of ARD hearing or along those lines. I think there was a chat that came in.
We'll answer questions at the end.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Yes.
And then finally, one last kind of little scenario that might come through that might be similar to situations somebody's facing is, John's had an eviction filed against him because his neighbors have complained about his car that backfires every time he leaves every morning for work. And believe me, that kind of stuff happens. And John's worried about getting stopped because his license is suspended because of past due violations. He's having a hard time making ends meet now that he lost his job out in the pipeline field. And, when he was first ordered to pay child support, he was making a lot more than he is now. And so, if he came to us for the eviction, we'd go ahead and help him defend against that eviction. But then we'd also talk about looking at occupational driver's license, pursuing a child support modification. And then again, working with our other agencies, other referral agencies and partner agencies to make sure that he's getting the resources he needs that are not necessarily legal in nature. So if anybody needs to get a hold of Lone Star Legal Aid, you can reach us at 844-400-VETS. That's 8387. Again, 844-400-8387, or online, lonestarlegal.org, or you can email us at vethelp@lonestarlegal.org. Look forward to questions. And again, if anybody who is watching needs help, please get a hold of our agency or Randy's or one of the other panelists here who's here to help. That's what we're all here for.
Justin, can you please include that information into the chat box as well?
I will do so.
Okay, next we're going to move on to Diana Carlson with the South Texas College of Law.
Actually, I think, Stephanie, are you kind of pressed for time? Do you need to go right now?
I would appreciate going before you, Diana. Thank you so much.
Right ahead, no problem.
Okay.
Sorry to switch it up. But yeah, I am Stephanie Trung. I am the program director of Beacon Law. We are a program of the Beacon, and we are a homeless agency that's located in downtown Houston, established over a decade ago. Our mission is to provide essential and next step services to restore hope and help end homelessness in Houston. And like Justin, we try to also approach our work holistically. And so we have several different programs that I will share about, and then I'll kind of land back on Beacon Law and talk a little bit more about us. So our most visible program is our day center. And so 5 days a week, we provide food, shower, laundry services there to our neighbors in downtown Houston. And right now our capacity is around 120. It used to be more, but because of the pandemic, we scaled back a bit. But we really are trying to meet basic needs first, and make sure that people, are able to feel maintain their dignity and just feel human, right? When they walk back out of our doors. But beyond that, we also try to provide limited case management through Compass. And so some of the things that they do are, a lot of our clients do not have a mailing address or something that's permanent. And so we have mailboxes that they can sign up for. They can, Compass can help them navigate through a gold card application, and or refer them if they need a referral to obtain ID. And then we have Bridges Hope, which is our women's housing program. And so that's for any women who were formerly justice involved and over the age of 35 can qualify. It's referral based, so it would need to be a referral through another agency. But it's a year-long program, and we really focus on sort of intensive services around those ladies, to make sure that by the time that they graduate, they either have employment or some other source of access to income, and are stably housed. And so we are also a partner of the Coalition for the Homeless. And so we provide housing assessments. And because of the pandemic and just the housing crisis we find ourselves in, we also have expanded to housing navigation. So we are placing people into housing who have found themselves, experiencing chronic homelessness. And that leads us to Beacon Law. And so that is what I want to focus on today, just sharing sort of the services that we provide. And there is some overlap between what we provide with other agencies. I think what's unique about us is I think that we specialize in certain areas and focus on those immediate barriers to restabilization. And we want to ultimately increase access to housing, employment, income. And so a lot of what we do is what we would call ID restoration. So it's any type of legal barrier that is in the way of you just being able to walk into a DPS office. So a lot of times what that looks like is outstanding tickets and warrants, Class C, on the Class C level in justice and municipal courts, kind of just a snowball effect, right? You're finding yourself like unable to pay fines and fees for one jurisdiction or one ticket, and you're, don't show up to court. And so you get a warrant. And then the next thing you know, you have another ticket, and it just is sort of like this cycle. And so we want to try to pull, so individuals out of that so that they're able to get their driver's license or ID, get a job, get housing. And we've had many clients who, have had this burden that they've had to carry with them, and this barrier for years on end sometimes. A lot of times we have, clients who are coming out of the justice system, and they don't have any documentations, but then in addition to that, they have these legal barriers standing in the way. So we assist with that. And then we also, this is sort of another like unique niche of ours, is to help with adults name changes, if that is a barrier, again, like your identification documents are not matching, and you're not able to get an ID or driver's license because of that. And we actually find this prevalent among our veteran population. Sometimes we have vets that come to us and say, well, when they enlisted in the military, they may have gone by one name on their DD 214, but that wasn't the name on their birth certificate. And so because those documents haven't matched, they've spent years and years just trying to, cycle through the system and figure out like what they need to do to get their ID. And so that's something that we do more frequently than you would think. But that's sort of like within our ID restoration wheelhouse. We also do record sealing work. And so that's another large part of what we do. Justin touched on, expunctions, non-disclosures. Those are the two processes in Texas in which you can either seal or expunge your record. So we do a lot of screening and counseling of, what may be eligible to come off. And then we represent people. And this, again, affects the veteran population because, as we might know, some of the types of offenses or, veterans who are just involved, the reason being is their underlying trauma that they've experienced. And so a lot of times we want to clear what we can so that they can move forward and, be able to get on with their lives. We had one veteran who we, came through our program this past year, and he had 2 cases back to back, and he was struggling with finding jobs for 6 years because of those 2 cases. They were minor misdemeanors. One of them, he actually was trying to defend himself in lockup and picked up another charge. We were able to successfully seal and expunge both of those cases. And at this, when we closed out his cases, he had a clean slate, which basically means, from public view, he didn't have anything on his record that was able to be seen. And so I like to think of our work as, we have tangible outcomes, and we want to be able to clear those barriers up so that, we can refer to HBL, South Texas, Lone Star Legal Aid, and the other legal aid agencies who are doing the more like complex cases in terms of, custody cases like family law. We want to basically be sort of the triage of legal aid, if you might, if you want to see it that way. And so we don't do any specific veteran legal services or provide specific veteran legal services, but we do prioritize the veteran population. As you might know, that there's a lot of overlap when it comes to our homeless population and veterans who are experiencing homelessness. And so we definitely value the veteran population and want to help wherever we can. I'm going to drop, I see Nia already dropped the website on here. So appreciate that, Nia. And I will also provide a link to a website that we created this past year called clearyourrecordharriscounty.org. And the reason we created it is because we know that the reality is that there are more people needing record clearing services than there are attorneys who can help for free, essentially. And so we created this website to be a self-help website, meaning that anyone, it's free and open to the public, anyone with a Harris County criminal record can go on there and check their eligibility to see if they can seal any of their cases. And then it walks you through a step-by-step process on how to do that in Harris County again. And so I do encourage you to, check out that website. We do have a feedback form. We don't have the capacity to have a help desk support person yet on the site, but we do have a feedback form. We would love to hear from you. And yeah, I mean, we know at this point there are over 400,000 eligible individuals that can seal their record. And we just want to make sure that we can reach as many of those individuals as we can. So thanks again for having me on this program. We really appreciate just being part of this legal community and being able to serve the veteran population. And I apologize, I'm not able to stay on for the Q&A, but again, please do reach out if you are interested in our services. And I'm sure my colleagues will be happy to kind of jump in if there's any questions related to our program as well.
Stephanie, before you go, for those folks that are watching on social media, since we are streaming live, can you go ahead and verbally give the contact information and the websites that, since they can't see the chat?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Thanks for pointing that out, Nia. Yeah, so our website is the Beacon, sorry, not the, it's beaconhomeless.org. Again, www.beaconhomeless.org. And when you click on programs, you can see all of our programs, and then you'll click on Beacon Law. You'll see that that's where you can find our online application. It's currently closed right now due to capacity, but we're going to reopen at the after Thanksgiving break. And also the other website I referenced that you can check your eligibility and see if you're eligible to seal your record in Harris County is clearyourrecordharriscounty.org. Thank you.
Before we move on, I just want to say Stephanie is being modest about that website to clear your record. It is absolutely one of the best things that I've seen, and I've used it, and veterans who have come to our clinics have used it, and it is absolutely unreal how easy it is to navigate and how quick it is. So seriously, this is one of the best tools that I've seen that's been put on for availability in a long time, Stephanie. I want to thank you for that.
Thank you, Randy. I really appreciate that. And that does remind me, I need to give credit to Texas Access to Justice Foundation, who funded that site and made it possible. So thanks again.
Okay, Diana.
Hi, everybody. I'm Diana Carlson. I work at South Texas College of Law, Houston. I teach and oversee the Veterans Clinic here. And what is unique about South Texas, we provide the clinics here provide legal services, but the way that we do that is we utilize our students. So at South Texas Legal Clinics, we teach our students, our law students, valuable real world legal skills by them, providing critical legal representation to traditionally underrepresented populations. And the clinics here cover various areas of law, and much like HVL and Lone Star Legal Aid, you can apply online for these legal services. For instance, and let me share screen here so you guys can see a little bit of this. So some of the clinics that we offer, and these are just some, but some of the most common legal needs that we find are family law, estate planning. We have a probate clinic and a guardianship clinic, and access to justice clinic, which is similar to what Stephanie at the Beacon is talking about. It's helping those who qualify to expunge their record. And then the Veterans Clinic, which I oversee, and we also have a landlord tenant clinic. There are other clinics here, like we have a tax clinic that's really helpful. So really various needs. Now, these clinics listed here are not limited to only representing veterans. However, they can represent veterans. What is unique to my clinic is we represent veterans only. And like Justin and Randy were saying, we're grant funded. And so with that comes certain criteria. For the Veterans Clinic, we represent veterans who are at or below 200% of poverty. So just an easy example, right? If you make $10,000 a year, 200% of that is, $20,000. So that's how you figure out, right, if you match that percentage. The other clinics, however, they vary with the guidelines. So some only, they can only represent those who are at 125% of the poverty guidelines, and others up to 200%, like myself in the Veterans Clinic. The Veterans Clinic at South Texas mainly focuses on veterans located in the greater Houston area. So Montgomery County, Fort Bend County, Harris County. We do have discretion to help veterans in other counties, but they have to be within, the state of Texas. We do not have any character of discharge requirements or length of service requirements or branch requirements, right? Any veteran of any branch, if you served 1 month, right? If you have a dishonorable discharge, we don't limit our representation to specific branches, lengths of service, characters of discharge. What we mainly focus on here is assisting veterans with applying for a discharge upgrade. And Randy touched a little bit on that, but basically, for example, if you were discharged with an other than honorable, we can help you apply to your branch of service and request, a general or an honorable discharge, which will then help you get VA benefits. We also help with VA benefit appeals. So for example, if you've applied to the VA for a service-connected disability, let's just say, you hurt your back while you were serving and you're applying to the VA for benefits for compensation for that disability, but VA has disagreed with you, they've denied your claim, and they say you don't qualify. That is where we come in. We help veterans appeal that decision with the VA. In addition to that, we do have some capacity here in the Veterans Clinic specifically to accept some family law cases, basic cases. So that's where there's no children in the marriage and there's really no property at issue, and some estate planning as well. We can help, depending on availability. We can, if we're not able to accept your case, for example, we can help you, give you some advice on what you need to do in order to successfully appeal your benefit claim or successfully apply for a discharge upgrade. We can help you order your records, because in both discharge upgrades and VA benefit appeals, having your military records or medical records are extremely important, and many veterans don't know how to access those. So we are able to order those for you as well. And then, if we have the availability, if you meet certain criteria, we are able to provide extensive representation. And by that, I mean, we are able to, start your case, maybe start the appeal or the discharge upgrade and see it all the way through. I also wanted to point out some videos and programs. Randy hit on the CLE that we put on last week. Both, Randy and I were there, Justin was there, Stephanie was there, and we put the CLE on, which really explains what VA benefits are available, the claims process, the appeals process. I have the link here, which I'll also post in the chat for you to access as well. For those who cannot see the chat, if you just Google STCL Houston Legal Clinic's YouTube channel, right? You just put that in Google, STCL Houston Legal Clinic's YouTube channel. You'll find the link for the channel, and the CLE is posted there for you to watch. This other link, and I will post that link, like I said, in the chat as well. The other link is a group of short videos. I believe there are maybe 3 to 4 minutes that, HVL, my organization, Lone Star Legal Aid, we worked on these short videos to educate the veteran population on common issues that they face. So there's a 3 to 4 minute video on service-connected disability issues, right? It explains what they are, how you qualify, what you need to do to be successful when you file a claim. Similarly, there's a short video on family law issues. And so I highly recommend that you check those out if you have any questions. I will post this link in the chat. For those who can't see it, again, Google is our best friend, right? You can just put in the search Texas Law Help Veteran Videos, and you'll be able to find it from there. To apply for our services. So if you want to apply for the family law clinic or the veterans clinic or the estate planning clinic, right? You're going to use this website no matter what clinic you're applying for. And that website is stcl.edu/academics/legal.clinics, or excuse me, legal-clinics/. So I'll say that again, stcl.edu/academics/legal-clinics/, and I'll post that in the chat as well. You can also call our intake line to apply for any of these legal services. That number is 713-646-2990, 713-646-2990. If you're looking for help with a veterans clinic, and we're unable to help you, as Justin and Randy said, we all work together. And so, if we're unable to help you, we're able to get you to those other organizations. So, I want to just thank everybody for your time. If you have any questions, please post them in the chat, and I'm happy to answer those at the end of this presentation. And then I will post these links right now in the chat.
Okay, thank you very much, Diana. Jamie, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. My name is Jamie Duong. I am with Ann Harris Bennett's Office of the Harris County Tax Assessor Collector, and I'm here joined to assist me here today. I have Veronica Hernandez, who is our military customer service rep, and also Erica Gutierrez, who's our customer service representative. So if you have questions, please post them onto the chat or ask, and at the end of the sessions, myself, along with our esteemed lawyers and partners here, will be happy to assist you. Okay, so with that, let me start my screen, my screen share. And like I said, if you have questions, give us a shout, and we'll do our best to assist. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so do you see it, or do you see the notes? Right.
We can see it, it's good.
We see it, it's good.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so thank you again. We from our office, we just want to extend our thank you to the veterans and those who have served in our military and assist us through this hard, difficult times. So we just want to take a word to say thank you. Okay, and for this presentation, we're doing the Veterans and Military Property Tax Benefit. A little bit background on the tax office. We maintain over 1.6 million tax accounts, and these are from your residential to your business, to your car fleets, to the hotels, to the skyscrapers and business personal property, down to the mineral rights properties that are in Harris County. So we maintain over 1.6 million tax accounts. And from that, we collect over $8 billion in property taxes this year. And we disperse out to 79 taxing units, and that's only a small fraction of the 500 or so taxing units in Harris County. So, okay, so how is your tax bill calculated? Well, it comes from the established taxable value, which our Harris County Appraisal District and the property owner settles on as far as what the agreed value for their property is. And then usually this happens around, it starts, the valuation starts as of January the 1st of the year, and taxes are always in arrears. So right now we have mailed out a huge number of tax bills, which have been assessed since, for the value since January the 1st of 2021. So you should be receiving your tax bill already in the mail. If not, they should be available online. But the taxable value is established by the property owner and the Harris County appraisal districts for properties that are in Harris County. Now, the next step of that process is establishing the rates. And this is during the process called truth in taxation, where local governing bodies decide what are the required revenue that they need to collect, and they establish the tax rates. And here at the tax office, we always encourage our residents, to partake in that process, attend those hearings and see how the budget is set and see how the tax rates are set. Because once the tax rate has been voted on and set, the final step of this property tax process is establishing the tax bill. And what we do is basically taking the taxable value, multiply that by the tax rate, and then applying any applicable exemptions that the property or the property owner may qualify for, and generating the tax bill from that perspective. Okay, so important dates we'd like for you to remember and take note on. Of course, tax assessment is as of January the 1st of the property, and by January the 31st of the following year is the last day to pay without penalty and interest. So, for example, this 2021 tax bill, you're going to have until January 31st of 2022 to pay it without penalty and interest. And of course, February the 1st is the beginning of the P&I process, and it also means that if there are any unpaid taxes, you can request a tax payment plan on that. Okay, and then July 1st, of course, is any unpaid taxes will be turned over to the collection attorneys for processing, and at that point in time, attorney fees are assessed onto the unpaid taxes. And from August through October, that process has already passed, but this is where the jurisdictions go through the truth and taxation process to establish the tax rates. And of course, where we are right now is in October, where tax bills are mailed. Now, there are some tax bills that haven't been mailed yet because either the values haven't been certified, or the appraisal district and the owner haven't completed the protest process to finalize the valuation for the property. Okay, if that's the case, we tell property owners, if you want, you can always pay an estimated tax, or if not, leave it as is. And once the value has been certified, the tax office mails out those bills. And by tax code, we always allow at least 21 days for the property owner to pay without penalty and interest. Okay, and if in doubt, you can always contact our office and to get, as far as the status of your tax bill, if you were unable to see it online or receive it in the mail. Okay, and of course, for December 31st is the last day to pay if you're going to use it for income purposes or tax deduction purposes. Okay. Now, for today's sessions, we talk about benefits for military as it relates to property tax. We have a range of information available on our website. We encourage you to visit the website at www.hctax.net. And once you go onto the website, of course, on the far right-hand side, there's a tab called Military. Click on that, and you'll have information about automobile benefits, for veterans, as well as property tax benefits, and a slew of resources for veterans. And as Richard and Stephanie and Diana have alluded to earlier, we partner with our local communities to reach out and assist veterans. And for me, sometimes, I defer for things we don't handle at the tax office. I would send them over to Houston Volunteer Lawyer or Lone Star Legal Aid and all of our partners to assist, because they're the specialists. But on our website, you have those resources, and we encourage you to take a browse and visit that to see if there's anything that we can help you with. Now, if and something I want to extend out to our attendees online as well too. if you're not a veteran, and if you have friends and family that are veterans, please share this information with them. Oftentimes, the tax office is served as a central board that says, I don't know where I need to go, but I have this issue. Can you assist? And we'll be more than happy to. And if we don't have the answer, we will reach out to our partners, and they'll be the specialists that assist you. But we'd love the opportunity to help and point you to the right direction. So please share the link, the website, the contact information, and we'll do our best to assist. Now, I'd mentioned earlier our website, www.hctax.net. At this time of the year, like I said, if you haven't received your tax bill, you can go online, and under the property tax tab, click on it. You can use, if you know the account number, you can search by account number, or by the owner's name, or the property address. And once you click on that, something similar to this should come up, is your 2021 property tax bill. And on there, it'll have information about, your past 5 years histories, or how to make a payment online, or even to view your tax statement, or even sign up for e-bills, okay, electronic billing, or link to getting your tax receipts from prior tax payments. Like I said, receipts go back as 5 years. So you need to dig through those receipts, oftentimes for, proof of payments, or income tax purposes, or even record keeping. You can use this as a resource in validating your records. Okay, so before I head on to the several next slides, I want to make sure that when you look at your property tax bill online, make sure that, you are that you apply for the exemptions, or that you submit your request for the exemptions that you may be eligible for. If you're a property owner and this is your primary residence, you qualify for at least some exemptions. So don't leave that money on the table. And this graph shows you the distinct differences between having a residence property with no exemptions versus something like a general homestead exemptions, where it reduced your bill by at least a third. Okay, and if you have a disabled or disabled veterans exemption, or an over 65 exemptions on your tax bill, it lowers the bill as much as 2/3 of that. Okay, so it shows a significant difference, and there are legal provisions, that you need to take advantage of. And we talk about military benefits and veterans benefits. These benefits are available to all property owners, and property owners that are over 65, or property owners that are disabled, or disabled veterans. Very generously, for example, Harris County and the city of Houston allow a 20% homestead exemption up to $229,000 in property value, okay, for over 65 or disabled homeowners. So that means if your house is under 229 or 228,999, what have you, you're pretty much you don't have to pay property taxes for Harris County or the city of Houston. Now, that doesn't mean you don't pay any property taxes, because oftentimes there are other jurisdictions that have taxing authority over your geographical area that doesn't allow that much of exemptions for homestead. But simply put, please make sure you maximize your property benefits by applying for the exemptions. Okay, and again, this chart shows a significant difference between having exemptions and not having exemption. So some general benefits, okay, for property owners and veterans. The basic is the general homestead residence exemption. This starts from $5,000 to up to 20% of the property value, and the actual amount varies by the taxing units, because of the amount that the governing body would allow or vote for. And sometimes you see 60,000, 30,000 homestead, and what it means is this is the amount that you don't have to pay taxes on if this is your primary residence, this is your homestead residence, okay? And to apply, the owner would have to initially apply through the appraisal district. For Harris County, the Harris County Appraisal District website is www.hcad.org. And when you complete that application, you can complete it online. And there's also an app that you can complete that too and submit that along with your driver's license or state issued ID showing proof of residence. And that would be processed through the appraisal district. It's available for all property homeowners who that property is their primary residence. And then the second type of exemption that we have are donated residence for disabled veterans. Now, this exemption allows for a partial exemption of the disabled veterans' property from taxation. And often this property is donated by a charitable organization, for example, Wounded Warriors, where, you know, the veterans receive this property through this charitable organizations, and the exemption amount is based upon the percentage of disability by the veteran's owner. And usually it starts out at a minimum of 10% or more disability, as it is determined by the Veterans Affairs Department of Veterans Affairs. So to apply for that, again, you would need to show the proof, the letter, or to show that number one, the military discharge, and proof that shows the amount of disability, or at least the degree of disability from the Veterans Administration's office. So again, these two exemptions apply through the appraisal district. The third kind is we talked about is the disabled veterans exemptions and surviving spouses. This exemptions allow the property owner to exempt from $5,000 to $12,000 of property value from taxation. And again, this is the actual amount is determined by the percentage of disability, as noted from the Veterans Administrations, and they have, you know, the requirement for that, again, is that letter of certifications showing the degree of disability, and you would have to apply through HCAD. There's a form that has to be submitted. And then the last type of exemptions that we have for veterans is the total disabled veterans exemptions. Now, this exempt 100% of the property value. So regardless of how much it is, 100% of the property value is exempt from taxation. And this also applies to surviving spouses of veterans or deceased veterans as well. Again, for this one, all of the exemptions that I mentioned in today's sessions, you would need to visit HCAD and download the applications or submit the applications, and make sure to include in that the required documentations for them to process your request. And as always, it comes back to that letter that's showing the degree of disability for the veterans. We have seen off and on, where folks come into our office and whether, they misplace that letter, it's absolutely crucial. What we tell our veteran property owners is, when you get that letter from the VA, make sure you snap a copy, scan it, email it to yourself, store it someplace where you can find it, because not having that means you will not be approved for these exemptions that I've talked about. So it's very critical that you have that kind of documentation. And of course, once you apply for those exemptions with the appraisal district and they're approved, your account will be coded to show such exemptions allowance. And so for us, what does the tax office do? Well, we provide waiver of penalties and interest or collection fees for active veterans who, for example, you you're scheduled off or you're currently off on active duty, outside of the county, and you have this tax bill, what you can do is contact our office. Our military customer service rep, Veronica, she receives this all the time. We need that active, that notice of active service. It says, hey, here's my address, here's my name. I'm going to be off to, some military base, or I'm outside of the county. I'm on active service, or, the reserve just activated me. Just show us that proof. And what we do is we go into our system, we code it, with the military deferral. And what that does is it holds off any collection efforts. And this allows the veterans, again, this coding allows the veterans 60 days to pay their taxes without penalty and interest, without any collection fees, from the date that, either of these series happens. Number one, they're discharged from military service, okay? Or they return home to the state or the county for more than 10 days, or they return to non-active duties, after serving in the reserves, or, it's the end of the national emergencies or war, and they return back to their civilian life. So that letter would have a date on that. You submit that to us, and what does is we count 60 days from that. It says, okay, you're allowed to pay your taxes, in this time frame without any penalty and interest. Now, if you are on extended service, let's say you're on a 2-year tour of duty, overseas, shoot an email to us, or notify us some way, annually, that, hey, I'm still on active service, and we would continue to code your property accounts in such manner. Okay, the application is available. The application for a waiver of delinquent taxes or delinquent collection fees is available on our website at www.hctax.net. I can give you a screenshot of that, so just download that, or you can complete that online and submit it to the tax office. Now, what happens when you return back to inactive duty and you have this tax bill, or even right now, you're veterans or you're disabled veterans, and you receive your tax bill, and January 31st approaches, and you know that you won't be able to pay your taxes in full. What happens? Well, contact our office and request to put on a payment plan. Militaries and veterans, as well as over 65 property owners and surviving spouses of over 65 owners, have the advantages of getting on a quarterly payment plan. And this plan does not charge any penalty and interest as long as the payments are made timely according to the schedule. Okay, so like I said, and why payment plan? Sometimes folks say, well, I'm going to pay off the taxes in April after I file my income taxes. Well, from January 31st is the end of the last day to pay without penalty and interest. So by February the 1st all the way to April, you would have accrued at least 2 months of penalty and interest on the unpaid taxes. And according to the tax code, the beginning P&I rate is 7% of the unpaid taxes. So February is 7%, March is 9%. So by the time you reach April, you would have gotten a 9% extra tax on that unpaid taxes. So I encourage you, if you receive your tax bill and if you know that you won't be able to pay it in full, please contact our office, by February to set up a payment plan. You can always pay it off early.
Jamie, we cannot hear you.
Somehow or another, your mic went out or something.
Oh, no. Okay. So
now we got.
Okay.
Now we got you.
Okay. So, thank you. So, in short, make sure that if you know you won't be able to pay your property taxes in full by the end of January, please contact the tax office and request a payment plan. You can always make the payment early, and the payment plan helps you save on the collection fees. Okay, mostly the attorney's fees. So please reach out to us and we'll do our best to find the payment plans that would suit your needs. You have plans that go, for example, the disabled veterans or disabled property owner or over 65 property owner and their surviving spouses. You have the quarterly plan that has no penalty and interest if the payments are paid as scheduled. And of course, for non-veterans, you have the homestead plan and also the regular payment plan that you can go as far as from 12 months to 24 months or 36-month payment plans. So please reach out to our office. We'll do our best to find the payment plan that suits your need. And as I said before, having a payment plan means you can also pay it early as you want, but the payment plan allows you that structure and also helps to reduce the attorney's fees on your unpaid taxes. Okay, so how do you request a payment plan? Well, just reach out to us. We are available on the website, by email, or by phone. And when you reach out to us, just let her know that, hey, I'd like to have a payment plan. Here's my property account, or here's my property address, and this is my contact information. As a matter of fact, we're already getting some emails from customers that says, hey, can you set me up for a payment plan? And they just give us, the property address. And if you know the account number, great. But if not, just let us know. And most importantly, also make sure that we have a way of contacting you. Let us have a phone number or an email address so that we can reach out to you. Because once we set up that payment plan, we're going to email as well as mail out the contract to you to let you know, okay, this is the beginning month. Let's say if we set up the payment plan for you in February, then your first payment of that installment payment is due by the end of February, okay? Or if we set up the payment plan for you in April, then that first initial payment is going to be due by the end of April to make sure that this keeps your plan in valid status. Okay, let's see. Move on next. And for veterans and property owners, if you've already paid off your taxes and you no longer have the mortgage company escrowing your taxes, we can help to escrow your taxes for you so you can do a prepayment for next year's taxes. And what you need to do is just make sure, actually we don't accept cash, make sure that your payment is in check, cashier's check, or money order, and you can pay any amount or you can pay at any time that you wish. Make sure that on your payment you have on there 2022 taxes or next year's taxes, and let us know your account number, okay, that you want to apply this to, or let us know the property address that you would like for us to apply it to. And what we do is, for folks that says, well, I want to pay next year's taxes, but I don't know how much it will be. Well, we don't know how much it will be either until the value is settled. So we give an easy formulation for our property owners. Like, take the current year's taxes, divide it into 12. That's going to be a rough estimate of what your next year's taxes will be, roughly. Okay, it could go up a little bit, it can go down a little bit, but at least that's what. And then take that amount, and if you're going to write one check, write that one check, the check for that 1/12 of the taxes, mail it to our tax office. Don't mail cash. Do not mail cash. Okay, mail that to our tax office, and just make sure you have on there your property address, or even put your phone number on there, and we'll call you if we have questions. But definitely, once we receive that, we'll post that to your property account. We'll hold it in escrow, and then when the tax bill becomes available, we'll take that, apply it to the tax bill, and if there's a shortage, we'll mail out the difference. We'll mail out the tax statement for the difference. If there's an overage, we'll also mail out a statement to show you there's an overage on the account. So this helps you control your taxes and escrow it. Now, payment options. Of course, we have various payment options. During this COVID time, we say, well, the best way to make your payment is online. Why? By making your payment online, you have that instant confirmation of payment, and you can do it at the safety of your own home. You can go on to www.hctax.net and go through on the property payment, search and payment, and it'll walking you step by step to make that payment online. Or you can also mail in your payment. If you've received your coupon, your tax payment, and on the bottom there's a coupon, make sure that you write your property account number on there or your property address on there when you mail in your payment. Now, what we tell our folks, because of this, there's been recent changes to the operations for the postal office. The mail may get delayed a little bit longer. And I always tell attendees, do not wait till the last day to drop your payment online. Do not, because let's say we are on January 31st and you tell me, normally I send in my payment on the 31st or the 30th and it's on time. Well, you know what? We've been getting mail that are 3 to 5 days delay. So the difference between sending in your tax, you know you're going to pay this tax. Why sit on it for the next, 3 or 5 days before the deadline, or wait until the day of? Because the delayed in operations mean if your mail comes in and it's postmarked February the 1st, that is read as a late payment, and that property will be assessed a 7% penalty and interest for late payment. We've seen this year and year in the tax office. We keep these postmarked, we keep the envelope in which the payment comes in, and it's heartbreaking when you have the customer says, well, I swear to you, I drop it in that box. Well, you can drop it in that box at noon, at 4 o'clock, at 4:59. But if the postman have already picked up from that box, that's it. He's not coming back there until tomorrow or until his next circle on the route. And when he takes that mail in and when he puts it to the meter, that's the official postmark date that by the tax code, we have to accept that postmark. So please don't delay and allow at least 5 days or so if you're going to be mailing in your payment. And you can also, on the other way making payment is by telephone, 713-274-2273 or card, CARD. And you can go through the prompt, and if you know your account number, you can go through the prompt and it'll walk you through the process to make your payments. Or if you need to, make an appointment for an in-branch tax payment. And we have 15 branch locations throughout Harris County to assist you. Of course, at the branches, we accept cash. All the other, we don't accept cash. And you can pay by credit cards, which charge a 2.3% service fee. And this service fee is determined by your financial institutions. Tax office does not determine that. We do not reap from that. This goes straight to the banking institution or the credit card companies. Or you can pay by check or e-check, and these methods are free. Okay, and again, cash, do not mail in cash. Okay, so now to do online payment, I'm giving you a screenshot of the online payment we have. It's fairly simple. You put in the search for your account. It'll show you, the current taxes that are due and the prior year, if there are prior year taxes are due. So you can designate how much you want to pay for each year, okay? And it'll take you through our banking partners and walk through the process. And at the end of the process, you get a confirmation online. You can either print that out to keep for your record, and it also automatically email the transaction to you. So you keep that for record. It's better than sending something in the mail and hoping that your check cleared, or that once it's cleared, that's your proof of payment. You do this, you go through by e-checks, and it'll instantly give you a confirmation of the transaction. So I encourage the property owners to pay it online. And again, at our office, we're here to help. If there are questions that you have or issues that concerns you, reach out to us. And if we don't have the answer, we'll reach out to our partners, Houston Volunteer Lawyers or South Texas College of Law or our Lone Star Legal Aid, or any one of our month of service owners, month of service partners. And we are here to help, and we're here to serve the community. And thank you for spending your time here with us. If you want to contact us, we can be reached at tax.office@hctx.net, or you can call it 713-274-8000. And all of our information is available on our website at www.hctax.net. Thank you so much for your time, everybody. Okay. Nia?
Great. Thank you very much, Jamie. We're going to go to a couple of questions that were in the chat, and I believe there are a couple of people that are in that are on the Zoom that have a couple of questions too, but I wanted to get to the questions in the chat first, at least. Let's see. The first one is, can you say more about benefits for children's schooling? I have a 9-year-old and I'm wondering what types of grade school benefits for which she may qualify. Do you guys know of any of those?
You know, I went back after I looked at that question to see if there was anything for 9-year-old kids who are probably still in grade school. And the only thing I could find that has to do with veterans benefits has to do with children who are going to be going to college. So college benefits, I'm absolutely positive about that. But again, the status of the children and the spouse, you have to have basically a veteran who has died prior to that being even eligible. So Diana, I'm not aware of anything for grade school level children. Are you?
No, I'm not.
At least not through the VA or through the state of Texas.
Right.
So basically still for children to qualify for the military benefits of the parents would have had to have been deceased or passed already?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. That was the only question. Let's see. My question is, I just want to know, how long does the process take, discharge and benefits? Can you
Well,
elaborate a little bit?
That depends really. So I would say if you're looking to apply for an upgrade or benefits, you should start gathering your records right away. That takes a significant amount of time, which was made worse by COVID. For example, to request your military records, a lot of times you have to go through a place called the National Personnel Records Center, the NPRC. They reduced their workforce capacity to 10% during COVID. And they get, tens of thousands of requests for military records a year. So that significantly delayed these requests, right? There's a huge backlog. And currently the NPRC is only at 25% working capacity. So it has increased some, but there's still going to be a significant delay. So normally it could take up to a year. Now it's taking much longer. For recently discharged veterans, you can request, and really anyone should try this, but you can request your records on va.gov. va.gov is now the location in which all the information you used to have to go to other sites. They've basically combined all these sites so that now va.gov is the only location you need to go for them. For example, veterans to get their medical records used to go to My Heal the Vet. Or for benefits, they would go to eBenefits. Well, now all of those websites have been combined so that all that information is on va.gov. And you can use those logins, those old logins like My Heal the Vet, eBenefits, to log into va.gov. Once you do that, there is a location, there's like 4 boxes on the screen where you when you first log in, and there's a place on there for records, and you'll click, like request military records. Click on that link and you can go through the website and do that. I found with veterans who have been recently discharged, they get their records quicker because everything is already digital, as opposed to older veterans who they have, a lot of them have yet to be scanned in and sent to the VA. So order your records immediately, because your military records, because that can take a significant amount of time. Once you receive your records, and let's say you submit your discharge upgrade application, that can take, anywhere from 12 to 18 months to get a decision. Again, that was before COVID. There is a backlog on that. So that's taking a little longer than usual. VA benefits, if you submit, an initial claim, they are, I hate to sound like a broken record, but because of COVID, they're also backlogged. So what used to take, on average, 3 months is taking 4 months, maybe 5 to reach a decision. If you appeal, again, it can take, anywhere from 4 to 6 months to get a decision on that. So it's quicker than it used to be because we have a new system now, but, it still takes some time. So I just, want y'all to be prepared that waiting for records can take a long time. Waiting for a decision on your discharge upgrade application can be a long time. So you want to do those things as quickly as possible.
Okay, what does a veteran need to do when they find themselves in this particular situation where they're finding it difficult to kind of navigate through? What can be done as a preemptive measure to make sure, I need to have these things in order or in line in case I come up against this, then I've kind of got my stuff already together. Does that make sense?
Like a guide, like a how-to guide?
Yeah, like a how-to guide on how to get this stuff done.
I can tell you from personal experience that when I left active duty after 10 years and went into the reserve, prior to leaving active duty, I requested all of my military records and all of my military medical records, and I was provided that before I left active duty. So when I walked out the door from active duty into the reserves, I had a folder with all of my documents from my military service. I know probably everybody in this audience has already gotten out, but Diana's right. The sooner you are to where you were discharged to when you ask for it, as a preemptive matter, you're going to get them a whole lot quicker, and you may never even need them. But on the chance that you do, you've at least got them somewhere.
I will add that VA's website is surprisingly has a lot of information for you to review. So for instance, if you're trying to get service-connected disabilities, if you put in, disability compensation VA in Google, our best friend, right? The va.gov webpage on service-connected disabilities will come up. And if you click on that, it tells you the criteria you have to meet in order to recover. It gives you links to certain forms that you need to fill out in order to apply. It tells you how to apply online. So I would check there first and read through that. That's very helpful. You can contact one of our organizations, mine, Lone Star Legal Aid, Houston Volunteer Lawyers, and we'd be happy to, provide you with the steps on what you need to do to move forward. But I think va.gov is always a good place to look. And we work with Texas Law Help a lot. They also have like a page for veterans, so texaslawhelp.org. If you go to their website and look for veterans issues, they have a good rundown of veteran benefit issues as well. So I would recommend that.
Okay. Let's see. Next thing here. Someone asked, I did want to ask my own personal stuff. Jenna, is there like a timeline or a cutoff for when someone is able to apply or to start accessing military benefits? Like, is it like, after like 4 years, 5 years, 10 years after you've been discharged, or can you wait till you get to retirement age to start using military benefits, or is there an expiration?
Yeah, there's for sure an expiration on your GI Bill or your education benefits. And so it's kind of a use it or lose it type of thing. So that's a big benefit that a lot of veterans take advantage of, the educational benefits, and you certainly don't want to miss out on that. I'm not aware of any kind of a time limitation on using your VA loan or your benefit to get a VA loan, and I'm not sure about some of the other benefits but I know that if you don't use your educational benefits in a certain number of years, that you actually do lose that. Diana, do you know of any other limitations other than the education?
Nothing that comes to mind. You can apply at any time for service-connected disability compensation, which is one of the big ones, or for dependency and indemnity compensation, which is for surviving members, surviving family members of a veteran who has passed, for a VA pension, which is non-service connected disabilities. If there are certain requirements you have to meet, but if you meet those, you can apply at any time. So that wouldn't expire either. And nothing else really comes to mind. You can always apply for a discharge upgrade. There's no limit on that. I would just apply as soon as possible for anything because it is a long process. So you will be waiting, and it's always best to do it sooner rather than later.
Okay. So, and I know you said it could take up to like a year or 18 months, but if someone already has their military records and they've already submitted their application and it's already almost been 2 years and they still haven't heard anything from anybody, then what happens then?
So you can, it depends on where you applied. So not to get too into depth, but to apply for a discharge upgrade, there are certain boards, there are 2 boards, and every branch has these 2 boards. So let's just use the Army for example right now. If you served in the Army and you want to apply for a discharge upgrade, there is the Discharge Review Board or the Board for Corrections of Military Records. Either of those places, and depending on when you were discharged or your issue, that will depend on which board you apply to. But both of them, whichever one, there will be contact information on the website. They don't want you to contact them unless it's been a certain amount of time. So there will be, some information on that. Like if it hasn't been 12 months, right, don't reach out and ask for an update. But after that point in time, you can email this certain email address that's listed on the website and say, hey, this is my cause number. I haven't heard anything for 12 months. I'm looking for an update. Has there been a decision? And they get back to you pretty quickly, not like the next day, but within a short amount of time, a week or so. So they also have numbers too. So you could call the Discharge Review Board or the Board for Corrections and ask like, hey, it's been a year. So what's the status of my upgrade? So I would go through those avenues to check on the status. Okay,
great. Someone's got a question here. Can someone say more about popularity of veterans land loans? Where can I find more info on available land and property in Texas? I did include the link of the website for the Texas Veterans Land Board at vlb.texas.gov. Other than that, I'm not certain. Do you guys have any other information on that? No? Okay. So try the website for the Texas Veterans Land Board to get more information about available land and loans for veterans. And there were no other questions in the chat. I don't see one in the comment on the Facebook either. So I do believe that is it. Are there any additional comments or anything like that you guys would like to add before we just kind of wrap up? Or Jamie or Diane or Randy?
Just to thank everyone for being here and for I know we threw a lot of information at you, but we hope that it's helpful. And we encourage you to reach out to these resources if you need help. We are here for you for whatever help you need.
And I just want to say, share the resources, share the phone number and the website information to veterans, because a lot of them may not have the internet connectivity or the phone readily available. But share that information, and as Diana says, reach out to us. We want to do our best to help our community and help our veterans.
Okay, I was kind of typing up the websites as you guys are kind of copying and pasting in an email as we were going. So for those folks that did register that did not attend the Zoom session today, I will be emailing a link of this recording as well as those resources to everyone that have registered. So if those that are watching on Facebook, if you guys have any questions or need some additional information on the resources that were available, please feel free to reach out to our office and I'll be happy to forward that information along to you as well. So Randy, was there something that you wanted to add?
Just one thing. I just want to say that even though we're governed by our grants in terms of the financial ability to help, it's my policy, and I'm sure it's the policy of every person that appeared on this panel. If I get a call from a veteran and they need some legal advice, I don't care whether they qualify for extended services. They're going to get a half hour at least of my time in terms of talking to them about their problem and solutions. So if you're a veteran out there and you've got legal issues, don't worry about your financial qualifications or your demographics where you live. If you've got a legal issue, call me and we'll talk. I just want to thank everybody who out there who's a veteran for your service. I truly do appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. And again, that's kind of the whole point of a month of service, making sure that people in the community know that resources are out there, help is available. So thank you guys very much for taking the time out today to update the community and let them know about your resources and services that you guys do offer. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Diana and Randy. And also I know Stephanie and Justin had to leave, but thank them very much as well for providing this information again today. So without further ado, you guys have a wonderful holiday. Stay safe and do what you need to do to continue to protect yourselves and protect your families. And hopefully we will see you guys again at another month of service program. You all have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you, everybody. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Adrian.
Thank you.
Thanks, Adrian. Love you.
Thank you. Love y'all too.